So, hello everyone. Welcome to Spiritism at Noon. We are starting today our study of the book Empty Lives by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis through the psychography mediumship of Divaldo Franco. Last time we started a lesson that is lesson 29. We just have one to go to finish this book. Then we are going to start another book by the same author. And we were talking about envy. We had a very rich discussion in terms of understanding what the benefactors, Juana de Angelis, was trying to tell us, because most of her lessons has an aim to pinpoint imperfections that we have and that can lead us to forms of suffering and can be in the way for our spiritual freedom, liberation, not to be so attached to people, to things, to have just a vision in terms of things that are perishable. And she always brings solutions. That's why I like her so much. It's not that she just comes and say, this and this and this and this is wrong with you, and this is not good. She always suggests solutions, and that's what she was doing in this in this chapter, in the first part of our chapter, in terms of guiding us. First of all, to believe more in ourselves. And when she puts this mathematical example of, us when sometimes feeling a zero, we forget the importance of a zero after a number, and how for should we find ways not to be a zero before a number that doesn't change anything. So even understanding that sometimes we are not that much, but that we can add. So in terms of actions that have already been taken for us to have a better world, better understanding. So inviting us to join those positions of idealism that can, contribute to the spirit, a more spiritual state of being, right? We are not just talking about spirit life. We are living on matter now, and it's important for us to of course, to adequate our lives in accordance to the environment that we do live. So she continues in this chapter saying, life is a movement, and when it is well invested in constructive work.
Jussa, could you share this?
Oh, sorry, I thought I was sharing. Yeah. No, it's not this one. Yeah. All right. So she says, life is a movement, and when it is well invested in constructive work, it takes the form of blessings that gladden people and free them from their bad inclinations. However, those who let themselves become lax and the fulfillment of their duties invariably have plenty of time for criticizing and being envious. So it's what we were talking last time, uh, you know, uh, to prevent us to be idle, when we are not engaged, especially, of course, in good and constructive activities, we give room to a lot of things that may wind up impacting us, and in this way preventing us to go further. So she says, nobody can live without thinking, and in the absence of a spiritually edifying agenda, they turn to the pleasure of erecting obstacles for diligent workers and make use of senseless persecutions, which are the bitter fruits of their inferior sentiments. It is essential to fill every existential void so that there is no time for uselessness, generating spite and the competitive unrest of envy. So, in other words, she's telling us here that when we have too much time on our hands, and not engage ourselves with something that can be, positive for us, and of course, she's not saying here that we cannot have moments of rest, but even then, when we are resting, let's not occupy our minds with negative thoughts, with those envious thoughts, and it's so amazing how much sometimes we use our energy to prevent the work of goodness. I don't know if you heard, there is a new move in town here in New York that is called Cabrini. And have any, so Elisa, you heard about it? Anyone else? Okay, I do recommend go to the movies and watch this movie. Have you seen that, Alyssa, already? Yeah. Uh, it's first of all, I say that she's a renowned unknown person, right? Many people do not know about her. I just know about her because I studied. My first years of school was actually in a school that was, founded, from the workers of Sister Cabrini. And when I saw the ad about the movie, I said, "Oh, this cannot be. Is it possible that it will be about Sister, Cabrini?" Because I have to tell you, not even in her school they talked that much about her. I was in love with the nuns and all that. I wanted to become a nun myself, but it's not that they were all the time talking about, this grandiose person. And then I read a little bit about it. She wanted to participate in those charitable missions. And of course, she is from the 19th century, end of the 19th century, a woman and a nun. And we can only imagine all the hurdles, right, obstacles she had to face before succeeding in anything. I'm not going to tell you more because I really want you to watch it. It is, I think, I mean, you will leave the movie thinking, how come we don't hear more about people like her? Because there are certainly a lot. And one thing that is not going to spoil the movie is that she was later in 1946 canonized by the church, and she is considered to be the first American citizen woman saint. But it's the movie is amazing, and it's her works of goodness. It's not about religion. It's not about preaching. It's exactly about what we talk in spiritism. It's not about words. It's about examples. It's about what we do. When helping, she never came to anyone asking, if they had a religion or not, and never tried to convert anyone. She just did the work of good. So, and this I think is, and why did I mention that to you? Because of what Joanna de Angelis says here. We will see a great number of people in the movie portraying her life, that use their energy to combat her work for the poor, for the miserable, for the ones that have nothing, not even a roof to take shelter. So, and this is what Joanna de Angelis is calling our attention here. Why do we spend so much energy to put down people that want to do good? Either they will find reasons in ourselves, in our weaknesses. They'll say, "You're never gonna last. You don't have the determination." They really will put us down. And sometimes, unfortunately, it starts from the mouth of those that supposedly knows us better, right? Our family members, because I know you, I know you're not going to be able to do that. Or if they say, "Oh, maybe you can even do that, but the world is not allow you to do that," or "Look at your condition," like her, for instance, a foreign nun, that was, of course, is speaking the language here with an accent, considered to be an inferior race because of the color of her skin. And I mean, it's so incredible. And please do go and tell others to watch as well, because it's such an example to us all. It's everything on practice, what many times we just speak in theory. Anyone would like to say something? Maybe you would like to share your impressions with us as well, Eliza?
I agree with you. It's 100% amazing. It is yeah, you've got to see the movie, and it is a lot about the strength of a woman during that time, the resilience of wanting to make something happen and believing so strongly because she has such a strong faith, and just what I thought was amazing that sometimes I struggle with is to constantly know what your purpose is. And to me, it's like she always knew what her purpose was, and nothing was going to stop her from her purpose. And not to spoil the movie or anything, but one of the lines that still is one of my favorites is when one of the men said to her, she would have made a formidable man. So go to show you already saying that it was a man's world. And she came in and just took it over and did what she had to do. So it is a movie worth watching. So yeah, definitely. I enjoyed it, and I will be seeing it again. I'm going to purchase it when it comes, because that's one of the ones you just got to keep seeing. It is motivational, very much so. Thank you.
Wow. You pick it right to me as well. It was one of the highlights of the movie. Her answer, and there was so much applause in the movie theater.
Yes.
When
Yes.
she answered that, and
Yes.
other things. It is really amazing and unbelievable. And I mean, for you guys that haven't seen, and have people and friends that are, not exactly religious, do not worry about it, because again, it's not about religion. It is about a good person doing good deeds and having determination. It is a life on an example of determination. And so it's really something to not to be missed. So let's continue reading here. People who stand out in any social or human segment are always detested by others who are petty and idle, who delight in causing problems, consumed by the hidden flames of envy. Much animosity finds its genesis in this morbid feeling of spite towards successful individuals who go on to be the leaders of society. This primitive inheritance of the evolutionary process must be fought with all the sincerity of one's heart. Fixated in character, it appears frequently which requires a firm and consistent moral attitude to prevent it from thriving on subterfuge. Working unceasingly for the good and spreading generosity and sympathy everywhere are ways for envious individuals to contribute to the glory and success of others on the pathway, thus fostering the awareness that the law of progress is divine and available to everyone. So here, you know, she's giving a solution. When we see people engaging in a good deed, let's offer ourselves to you know, to go with them, instead of be thinking, oh my God, they are doing good, or this is amazing work. I wish. I mean, go there and just say, you know, I'm willing, I'm ready. Or be motivated, inspired by their works, and try to do something yourself. I think this is something, you know, that we see so much in life. Like when we look at, you know, those wonderful athletes that we have, when we hear their stories, those are stories that show so much struggle, you know, in terms of discipline that they had to have, missing hours of, you know, playing with their peers, having to be going to one place to another. In many times, the parents have to be, you know, placing them in academies. There are, you know, where they will develop their sport, or and even musicians. So they will be deprived of the companionship of their parents as well. It is a lot of struggle, and then they come and they play beautifully, music, sports, or any other field of life, and we just envy them, or just say, oh my God, I wish I could do that. This is one of the reasons, actually, that Spiritism is not that much in agreement with, you know, trying to get to know what the future has in store for you. Why? Because let's say that we can go to a psychic, to someone that, you know, can predict our future, and they will say, oh, I can see here that you are going to be a scientist, and that you are going to be working in very important field, and have achievements in, you know, bettering the lives of others, working in the, you know, to remove a disease and this and that. Okay, now I know my future. I'm going to be a famous, renowned scientist. But if I take that for granted, forgetting that I have a way to track to get there, because, you know, it is in my future already, so I don't need to do that much effort. It's written in the stars. We do not do it. Or the opposite, and they say, you know, here it seems that you're going to die with 35 years old, as 35 years old. And you say, you know, not what, I'm going to enjoy my life because I'm going to die earlier. And, you know, you will probably die with 20, because you will get yourself into so much trouble that not even 35 you are going to be living. So those are things that we do not understand. We are the ones paving our ways every day. Every day is like I have a choice to go through that way or that way. And it is in the little things. When we look about the lives of those people that are remarkable, it was always a work of dedication, determination, and, accepting that they had a lot to do. I mean, there is always this phrase by uh, Thomas Edison, right? That is not that he failed so many times, right? It's that he got once and he did not let it go just because he failed. Like you're saying, Alyssa, it's like he had a determination, and we all have that. The thing is, we numbed our goals, our ideals, and sometimes since very early childhood, because there are so many negative comments and things happening that we think we bury our dreams, and we think that we will not be able to do it. Any comment or question? Yes, Marcel.
Yes, I agree with everything that you are talking, and I'm thinking here the importance of the self-esteem in all about this, because if someone says something to you when you are child or even nowadays, maybe you can catch this like your beliefs and you can't liberate this idea, you're not you're not able to do this, and you like get this idea. It's hard to take away this idea, so for this reason I think we all need to therapy. We all need to know about ourselves. I don't know if I told you, but when I always had big hands. I always liked to play football, soccer. I'm not a little girl. I
Right.
hate pinky. I hate pinky. And when I was embarrassed, I was pregnant. I heard that not she won't be a good mother. She's so how is the word to this?
A tomboy.
Yes,
Tomboyish.
yeah, I don't know. She's not so careful because she has strongness. She will hurt your babe. So just like when my first son born, I was so scared because I think I will hurt him. I will hurt him. I had this idea in my mind because they talk this and I will hurt. I so desesperated, and it's working, and they saw that, oh, she's a good mother. She's a good mother. She can do. But it was hard to me at first because I believe it that they told me. I believe it. So I think not the thing is envy, but the words come to us and we need to be prepared. We need to have strongness in our mind to say, this is not for me. I'm not this person. Or work with this. I can't believe and I couldn't believe I'm not this way. I can do. So I think we all the time need to work about ourselves. Therapy or self-conscious about us, because it's a way to protect us, because all the time the people will talk about us. It's inevitable, no? So we need to work to protect ourselves too.
It is so important. So important what you said, Marcel, because this is what I think. Spiritism, having spiritual ideas help us in the sense that it constantly reminds us that we are not our physical body. And where we were born, our economic condition. And the thing is, we still have, those models, right? That if you're not, delicate, you cannot be maternal. Or if you come from a different culture, you will never know how to deal with this culture. It has nothing to do with our physical bodies. It's the mind, or if you come from a very poor and difficult background, you will never succeed in life because, you know, you didn't have the upbringing, you didn't go to the best schools. And I mean, and there are so many proofs that shows us wrong, and still we insist in labeling people. And this is one thing that in the spiritism all the time we were talking about here, you know, labeling, uh, even in terms of age, right? We look at young people as being inexperienced, not knowing anything. Yeah, they do not have the experience that adults, people that have lived it more, of course, have in their lives, but it doesn't mean that they are less, or they have less possibility than we have as immortal spirits. So quite often we look at children and teenagers telling us things and opening our eyes to things that are were not in our in our way of thinking, and this is changing, and it's beautiful to see. If on the other hand there's so much to be done in terms of the youth today, but just you know, this um uh, not accepting any more prejudice, any form of prejudice, is huge. It's huge. And we see nowadays our children, the youngest, not going into this direction, right? So let me finish here. Amenable to inner growth, the joys of others should serve as motivation to make effort, realizing that they can be joyful if they desire. Under no circumstance should you allow the parasite of envy, which disturbs others and emotionally annihilates the one who feeds it. Feeds, feeds it. It's to thrive in the garden of your sentiments. Learn to participate in the joy of those who are happy, expanding the horizons of well-being among those who live alongside you. You will not miss what you lack unless you feel its absence with the idea that owing it will bring you joy or happiness. Rejoice with the gifts of life and sing to the glory of living and loving. The objective physical experience will promote the acquisition of love and solidarity with everything and everyone, transforming the aridity of the paths of which everyone travels into paths covered with blooms of hope and plenitude. Your plenitude depends on the balance that must reign around you in such a way the blessings of harmony sing praise and gratitude to life. So again, instead of allowing ourselves to be dominated by negative emotions, let's you know, be in control and say, okay, I acknowledge that, but this is not a good road for me to take, for so many reasons, because most of all, it is going to be disturbing us, bringing suffering to us, and is not going to contribute to the other person's success. On the contrary, we can get in the way and preventing good works to be accomplished. And it is not going to be giving us the energy to think for ourselves. What can I do? You know, this is an example. I should be doing something. And in a realistic perspective of life, is start doing something yourselves. Any comments or questions here? Okay, Sonia.
Yes. Yes.
I believe everybody here face in any time in our life with people to try to discourage us or degree us, as Marcelo mentions about our self-esteem, things like this. In this way, I learned something. Okay, I don't have grandiosity in my behavior to show for the others how good I am or how many charity I have. But I really believe important to us is to persevere in good, to know about our actions in our daily life, small things in our daily life. I don't need to show for the others what I'm doing in good, because the bad show up every time. Someone is put the finger over us about our bad attitudes, but our good is like invisible. Important to us is not to give up, to persevere this. It's a small thing in our daily life. That's it.
Absolutely.
I would like to say that it's, and I'm thinking about this and as you're speaking, and there's such a thing that when I was going to school and I learned called self-fulfilling prophecy. And when someone keeps telling you you're to this or you're to that, or you're not smart enough to do this, or you're not smart enough to do that, that sometimes if we don't have some sort of intervention, whether it's internal or external, we become that which they kind of prayed over us in a way by saying, you will never be this or you'll never be that. And you kind of like believe it that you actually make it happen, make it come to fruition. So I have learned that I wasn't able to make achievements without some sort of intervention, people saying something and it resonated. I'm like, oh my God, that's true. Or I read something, or something had to happen, some sort of catalyst, some sort of experience for me to not continue to believe something that was said by powerful people in my life, mother, father, siblings, aunts that I respected, that you really believe that they're going to tell you the truth about you when they're not. What they're doing or talking to you about their own fears, their own inadequacies, or that they didn't accomplish for whatever reason. And in doing that is that I recognized that I had to, because I know what Marcelli was saying, because when I had my first child, I was scared to death because I was supposedly not going to be a good mother either. But it wasn't because I was, with this a masculine energy. It was because I was too feminine. I was a weak woman. I was weak because I was always quiet. I never spoke when I was a child. I would just listen. And I remembered that I met a woman who said to me, nobody was given a book on how to be a parent. The book you will write yourself. So listen to yourself and just keep loving your child, and you'll see that the book will be written. And that has stayed with me all these years. I'm up there in age, but that never left my mind, what she said to me. But if I would have listened to everybody else, I would have probably stayed in fear. But thank God, I got some intervention in there, so it should help me to change my frame of thought. That's all. Thank you.
There is a phrase from the very well known in Brazil, Francisco Xavier, which was a median, humanitarian, and many of the literature that we have in Spiritism is thanks to him. Never earned a penny from his work and his assistance. And he used to say that if I were to be waiting for me to be ready to start my work, I would have never done it. So we are not ready for anything. We just have to believe in ourselves and have this goodwill. And especially when we are doing works of goodness, oh, heaven will provide. Heaven will provide. I'm sure all of us here have some experience on that, of people questioning our abilities, and here we are, right? And continuing in this process of learning. But I wanted to bring to you as well today, there is this book that is called The Soul in Anguish by Professor Lionel Corbett. It's about a psychotherapeutic approach to suffering. And in one of the chapters that is forms of suffering, when he of course is talking about psychotherapy and mental health and all this, he talks about envy. So I just highlighted some of the concepts. I'm going to be reading the concepts to you. We have 15, right? Of course, there are many more things in the chapter, but things that I thought was important for us. First of all, that the suffering that we provoke in ourselves due to envy is this is according to the to scholars, okay, and psychotherapeutic scholars. It's the most malignant and destructive state of mind. Okay, it's nothing to do with spiritual things, spiritism, but it's also from the Jungian concepts and others, and how they view that as being detrimental to our mental health. No wonder why Joanna de Angelis, when talking about empty lives and things that are destructive to us, she mentions this envy that comes from the Latin word invidere, that meaning looking into, with the connotation of doing so with hostility and hatred. So here, one of the phrases says, the envious person wishes to spoil in another person what he feels he cannot have himself, even if doing so results in self-harm. This is the manifestation, right? If I can do it, I'm not going to allow, I will do whatever I can. Let's say we have a friend that drinks too much, and we do too. And then the friend says, I'm no longer going to be drinking, I'm going to AA and this and that. So this other person, supposedly friend, envies this person. And not to feel bad or be, judged by the world. Listen, your friend is doing, why don't you do as well? He sabotage or look to sabotage the recovery of the friend. So we go as far as that. So and according to this the psychotherapy, envy wants to destroy goodness because it is good, in contrast to other forms of aggression. It's just for that, and causes enormous ill will towards others, and spoils the envious person capacity for creativity and pleasure. I cannot be creative or be happy when I'm, consumed by, this hatred, this hostility that I cannot achieve that. It says that we can see that in all walks of life, including the workplace, politics, of course, in academia, where we see it in the form of mean-spirited criticism of the envied person. So this is how they do it. You know, I have to say that for your own good, right? And they come and say, Marcel, you are not going to be a delicate matter. It's for your own good. I have to prevent you. You know, you have to know beforehand instead of coming and saying, oh boy, right? I think you're gonna need help, and I'm going to be here for you to give you a hint. Right? Even criticism that sounds reasonable often disguises underlying envy. Right? When they come and say, oh, it's wonderful, this book that you wrote, but maybe you should have considered. And then, you know, now the book is published. What else can I do? Okay, there is second, third edition, but, you know, this is a form of putting you down. Envy take other forms, the form of distress as the thought of another's success or pleasure at the failure of the envied person. And so they say that the Germans have a word that translate that, you know, when we are envying the person and then we are happy that the person could not do it, and the word is schadenfreude, right? I mean, it's that unhealthy joy of seeing others not succeeding. We are embarrassed by envy, both individually and culturally, so that envy may be repressed. And even if conscious, we may be reluctant to admit it. And this is what you mentioned last week, Sonia, when we tried to say, oh, it's a good envy, you know. We plate it in gold, right? And say, no, it's gold plated, so it's not bad, right? But the more we try to deny that it's there, the less capable we will be able to deal with that. Serious envy is associated with depression, self-pity, and poor overall mental health. And so see, when so many authors talk about negative emotions in terms of how they construct, you know, this negativity in us, preventing better results, because while I'm consuming myself in this negative emotions, there will be no room and energy to do something better. An envious person is unable to feel gratitude and is unable to form trusting, warm relationships. So his inner world becomes insecure, which increases his hatred of others whom he perceives to be happier. I mean, if I am a person that tends to, you know, want to have everything that others have, I will never be happy with what I have. And if I don't feel happy with what I have, how can I be grateful? Because there is always something missing. There is always, you know, I'm the last child on the list of God. God is not taking care of me. You know, I'm there just to fend for myself. So this is something that is going to be impacting our relationship, because friends will notice that, and they will not be sometimes sharing their joys with us, because they know that a new feeling towards us is going to be coming. And this will leave us to become more solitary and then depressive, because everyone seems to have what I don't have. I may always thinking, poor me, it's because I didn't have opportunities or this or that. And we are always uh, uh, putting the responsibility in others instead of ourselves. Feelings of inadequacy, humiliation, and unfairness compared to others worsen his envy, leading to a vicious circle. So when it seems that everyone is getting it, I start feeling each time, that I have less value, and today, with Instagram and etc., that people only post their best moments in life, we buy this illusion that everything is great in their lives, instead of thinking, oh, how wonderful these people are having joyful moments, like I do have as well. But life is hard for everyone. The problem is the disparity between oneself and the envied person. We see the one we envy as impossibly greater than oneself. So it's always about, comparing. And in this way, it's not humbleness. I'm not being humble before a situation. I feel that I'm not worth, that I don't have as much value as the other. And it is something that comes enrooted in our upbringing from millennia. Remember the story of Job, that he was tested by God to see how faithful he was going to be, and all his uh, relations at that moment would point out that all his troubles were coming because he was not a good person, and because God then it didn't love them. And so in a way, when things are not coming our way, this is what we think. I don't deserve. God is not helping me because I don't deserve, because there is something wrong with me. And there then comes, pessimism, self-pity, depression, and all of this. One thing that is very important, it also seems that witnessing chronically envious parents predisposed to the development of envy in childhood. Yes, parents, educators, they are the examples. We want our children, the next generation, to be better. It starts with us. And this is very important for us as well to think about. And the last one, envy reminds us of what is undeveloped in us. So that if we can become conscious enough, envy has the potential to stimulate us to develop new skills and capacities instead of separating us from others. This approach is typical of a rather benign approach to envy, which has recently emerged, which affirms its adaptive importance when it motivates people to greater achievement by raising their own ability to the level of the envied one, instead of trying to bring others down. So, in other words, this is what Joanna de Angelis was telling us all the time. You know what? Don't use your time, your energy in idleness, in harboring negative emotions. Do something. Join a cause, an idealism, and here, in other words, from the scientific words, they are saying you have potential for so many things, right? Use that as a lever, a push for you to believe in ourselves as well. let's say we have a friend that decided to learn a new language. And you say, you know what? It's true. It's never too late. I could be doing something. I could be, using my time to learn a new skill instead of being envious of, not only what the friend is going to accomplish, but by the very fact that they are using their time wisely. Sometimes we envy that there are people that have this level of commitment and determination. It's not that much what the person is doing, but because the person is doing it, right? And we say, oh, I wish I had as much time as you do to do all those things. Well, everyone have 24 hours a day, right? I mean, just organize yourself better. Go ahead, Marcelle.
You're talking about this. I remember the book that I'm reading. I think there is in English. I don't know if you're reading. This book talk about this. Everybody could have the time, the same time, but sometimes we would just pick up a lot of things to do at the same time, and it's not working. So the book is trying to say that sometimes you need to pick up the essential things to do, not try to do. I don't know. I know that it's not related to envy here, but I remember that you are talking about time, and everybody has the same time. Just we not choose, elect the best.
Prioritize. We are going to prioritize. So make a priority.
This is a good book to read.
And this is a good way of approaching life, because sometimes we see someone that, let's say, plays the piano so well, and sometimes I always mention plays the piano because I wish I had time to learn how to play the piano. It's still there on my bucket list. But
Me too. Me too. I have the same dream.
Really, it's not. I mean, it is there if I want to, but I'm also conscious that in this list of wishes that I have, if I do not want to go insane and be bad or mediocre at everything, I have to focus. Malcolm Gladwell said that you are going to become an expert when you only are an expert of something when you spend 10,000 hours on that subject. This is an average of 20 years, 3 hours a day during 20 years. So if we really want to go deeper into some things, we have to understand that in this perspective, we don't have all the time in the world, and we have other responsibilities. We have to rest. We have our family. We have to to earn our living. There are so many things. We have to make time to help others, because sometimes a friend calls you, oh my God, I need someone to listen to me. Do you have time? And we just say, I'm sorry, I don't. It's time for my new series on the TV and I have to watch it, right? I mean, come on. So we have to be very conscious how to prioritize ourselves. And I think this is the main reason for the main thing for us not to fail is to become aware of what we are capable of doing. And the thing is, we see a lot of people that try to do so much and then not coping with that, they just give up everything. So, and I think this is a very, very important for us to do that. And this book that we have brought, focus on the essential, and you have to have a list that will change. Like when you have little children, the children is going to be on the top of the list or in the first places of the list. Then when they go to college, not necessarily anymore. When they're graduated, not necessarily anymore, so there are different phases in life where we can, it's not that we are going to remove things, especially, children and family, right? But they change positions. And like, now I have time for myself. And what myself, now with more time on my hand, wanted to do in terms of my own development is going to bring me happiness, is going to help me, in having a good state of mind. Sometimes, it's going to be dancing classes where you're going to, just release your body and be, feel together with the music, the rhythms, having new friends, challenging yourself and your body to do things that you thought you couldn't do any longer. So there are so many things that we can do that will contribute for our well-being. And when we do that, all the rest, the productivity is going to increase because I'm in a different state of mind, right? I'm happier with myself, with life, and this is going to irradiate to every place that I am. Okay.
I have to tell you that list of 15 was great. That's amazing what I read. And I have to tell you too that I have a husband who suffers, is 100% disabled Marine and has PTSD.
Mhm.
And a lot of the things that are in the envy, he actually says and he believes, why did this guy go and why is he so lucky and why didn't he? And everything is constantly, and it's like this little loop that keeps going on and on. But I also recognize myself in there. When I was young, my parents unknowingly would say, we're working so hard and they were able to buy a house. Why can't we buy a house? And I would hear this and constantly would look and want to know, well, why? Yeah, that's true. Why did you don't recognize that you easily are seduced into envy? And I have to tell you, I'm looking at that list and I'm going to have to reread it and look at it because that's powerful. And thank you very much for that. Thank you. Powerful.
Lisa, thank you. It's great to have you here with us as well. So, yeah.